Good morning. This is what my dogs get to do every single day. So I'm popping in. If you guys watched my video the other night, how I was talking about I was a ghost for a while, well, that's all gonna change. So I just wanted to pop on, and some of you may catch this live, some of you may not, because we're all busy, and I know you're not just tuning into Facebook all the time. So I wanted to leave this up for you guys because it's a big one in terms of self-care. And those of you who don't know me and you're just getting to know me, I am Hillary Plauche, and I have been a coach, a life coach, fitness coach, business coach, if I could talk today, for 10 years. 10 years going strong, you know, and I'm ready for the next 10 years, and yeah, you rock. So I wanted to share this with you because I have next week the Nourish Your Selfie 5-day experience, and this is a little bit about what we're going to be talking about. And when it comes to self-care, I think this is a good topic to talk about and start with. And I know it's something that a lot of us struggle with all the time is setting boundaries. And if you are a person who knows, let me turn down the volume on my computer so you don't keep hearing my Facebook ding. If you're a person that has trouble setting boundaries, comment below, you know, comment with a 1 below if that's you. And I think that as humans, you know, we all have this. And if you're anything like me, a reformed people pleaser, kind of, I think it was ingrained in my soul, my DNA. It can be super hard, super hard to do that. So, you know, I'm going to give you the definition, and good morning if you're there. I'm just still having some coffee. It's about 11 o'clock here on the East Coast in Florida. A boundary is a limit or space between you and the other person. A clear place where you begin and the other person ends, right? The purpose of setting a boundary is, of course, a healthy boundary to protect and take good care of you. That's essentially, in a nutshell, in general, healthy boundaries are those boundaries that are set to make sure mentally and emotionally you are stable, not the other people in the room, but you. So another way to think about it is, you know, our boundaries might be rigid, loose, somewhere in between, or are they non-existent? And, you know, comment below is do you have good, solid, strong boundaries? Are you, you know, a little loose and tend to give in, you know, regardless of what your inner person voice is telling you? Or do you have none at all? Right? Sometimes, you know, we're in relationships with people, whether it's our spouse, our friends, our family, you know, work, co-workers, even I think these days on social media as well. So setting boundaries is actually, it's a good thing, you know, healthy boundaries, might I add, because there can be some toxic ones as well. And, you know, that comes a little bit further down the road is, you know, when we have toxic boundaries, it's usually, you know, coming from somewhere in ourselves, and, you know, we're placing undue boundaries on other people, which can kind of get a little crazy, but I know we've all done it. So it teaches basically it teaches other people how to love you, and treat you, and how wonderful and freeing and transparent is that when you can get to a place in your life when you can say, hey, you know, that doesn't make me feel comfortable. That is not okay with me. And, you know, back off, you know. It's like, I remember there was a meme like a few years going around. There was a guy who was a picture of a guy, and he had this circle, like he was wearing it over his body, and it was like, this is my personal space. And do you allow people in your personal space like way too often? You know, maybe people that stop by when, you know, unannounced, or, you know, these days it's super easy because, you know, in this day of social media and Facebook, and everybody has access to you. Everybody has access to slide into your inbox and send you a message. And I know if you're anything like me, the struggle to feel the need to reply because you don't want people to think that you're a bad person or a mean person. And, you know, sometimes we do. And honestly, you know, you can reply back in your own time, and even with texting, and nobody has, you know, permission to have access to you if you're not ready, right? So if you don't want to reply to that email, don't. And if you don't want to answer that person, you don't have to. And especially, with social media, there's like complete strangers jumping into your inbox sometimes. And if you're uncomfortable, you have no reason to answer them. And that's just in a nutshell, but it's true these days with social media. And I think sometimes we're compelled to do that. And not everybody deserves that kind of access to you. And it was also, being an online coach, a boundary that I also had to set for myself, that I was lacking for a lot of years, growing an online business, and realized I was teaching other people how to treat me by being available like all the time. And you just can't be, because if you're available all the time for everybody else to do what everybody else wants, you're not loving yourself. And you guys know, when you take on too much, you are definitely depleting yourself and taking away from, obviously, the number one thing is taking care of yourself and all your self-care, which constitutes back to self-love, right? So I guarantee you, and if you're not doing those things, you're going to feel unstable and you're going to feel powerless in a lot of your relationships if you're not setting some boundaries, right? So if you have people in your life that you feel that, I just can't do it. If I speak up, they're going to get angry with me. That's the key. That's the important part, because when you actually do set boundaries, you're going to piss people off. There's some people that have been taking advantage of you in some ways in terms of your respect and your boundaries, and you've been letting them do that. So they're going to get a little angry when all of a sudden you say, whoa, hey, this is my boundary. And I totally need to get my nails done, if you guys see that. So, that's this weekend. So they're going to get pissed. And then, you can actually ask yourself, does this person actually belong in my life? And if you continue to not set boundaries, it can really continue to have a negative effect in your life over and over and over again. So if you guys are here, if you're watching the replay, hey, Janelle, good morning. Good morning. So I'm talking about boundaries because I know this is a big one. So it's a big one in self-care, just like eating healthy, just like exercise. Setting boundaries is so much more important, I think, than most people realize, because it's going to give you a greater sense of well-being. And, it's important, just like every other skill of mindfulness and eating and working out, is to keep track of those boundaries. Because if you're, some of your little walls that you build for your boundaries, that if it's built out of like the Three Little Pigs, if it's built out of which one is it going to fall down easily if you don't have strong boundaries? And you're going to find yourself, getting out of control. So do you ignore? So we're going to get down to the first tip. I've got 3 for you today that you can do to get better at setting healthy boundaries. And I also uploaded a cool PDF. It's not mine, but it's something I've used, again and again as a worksheet, just as a reminder, as little checks. Like, are you doing these things? And, if your life is feeling out of control, sometimes it's because we're letting those things happen. We're not setting clear boundaries. We're letting people take advantage. We're letting people maybe disrespect us too many ways. And it's necessary. Trust me, for your peace and happiness, it is so necessary to set boundaries. So, hey, Janelle. So I'm going to give you 3 little tips, and I'm not going to stay on here long because I don't want to keep up your day, but 3 little tips that can seriously help you. And I know because they help me, and I have to remind myself every day. So are you ignoring that little intuition? Do you ignore her? And oftentimes do you find out that when you do, you should have listened to her because she was right? That, if you've done that, drop a 2 below, like if that's you, I want to know, so you have to practice. Number 1 is you have to practice tuning in to your inner sense of yes or no. So, and that little voice, it's that little voice that you hear, and it usually sits right in here. I know it does for me. That is in your chakras. It's going to tell you that little tingly feeling. It's your solar plexus, and it's going to say, it's going to tingle, and it's going to say, this feels good or this feels bad. And I know you guys all know it. And the more mindful you get of it, the more that it can help you and guide you in those situations. I guarantee you it really, really works. And the more that you work on this and practice it, it really can help you make those decisions, because you have to be okay with it in here. You know, you have to be able to listen to your feelings and emotions in a situation and go, what is best for me, right? Like, I'm not okay with this. I'm feeling uncomfortable. It's time for me to, you know, check out of this situation, or check out of this conversation, or, you know, put it in there, right? Right. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. Trust me. It's so hard. And the times that I didn't listen to that girl are the times that I got, you know, really, really into situations where I've let people, you know, and I used to say the excuses. I'm a giving person, and I always believe in people. And I see the potential in a lot of people, but that doesn't make it okay for me to allow them to cross my boundaries. So I had to listen to that and not be such a, you know, believer, because ultimately people can't change unless they want to. And only you can create your reality. Only you can create your boundaries, and only you can maintain and keep and set those boundaries and set them and keep them. And the more that you do this, and the more that you implement it, and the more that you listen to that inner voice when something feels off, I guarantee you're going to walk away when you listen to her, and you're going to feel good about it, and you're going to feel a little more stable. You're going to feel a little more secure. You're going to feel a little more powerful. So taking your power back, and stop caring what somebody's going to think, because you're taking care of yourself. And I know this is important, because us as moms and empaths and whatever you want to call it, it's true. You know, you want to surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries, and it's going to give you a lot more. Like, remember, we teach people how to treat us. So number 2 is a big one is, you know, learn how to tolerate those reactions from people. And I know it can be hard, like setting that boundary with someone who's been, you know, forever overstepping that boundary and taking advantage of the fact that you don't have a boundary in whatever situation is, whether it's at work or at home or with friends or wherever. You're going to get a little, those people that don't respect you are definitely going to give you, you know, some uncomfortableness, as it seems. So this is where you can also judge whether those people are meant to actually really have that much access to you. You know, you teach people and you let people know how much access they have. You know, maybe it's not totally fully cutting them out of your life. Maybe it's minimizing, you know, the things, or actually teaching them, and maybe they didn't know that you had that boundary, and they're a healthy person and they'll be okay and they'll respect it. That's your clue that that person is a keeper. But the person that continuously gives you strife, or gets angry at you, or ghosts you, or doesn't want to be your friend because you've set that boundary, you have to think to yourself, does that person actually even care about you? Or was it a one-sided relationship where, okay, now I'm not going to get the benefit of being friends with that person, so peace, I'm out. We don't want users, you know? So setting boundaries will help you build better relationships and cut out the people that are not, you know, meant to be there and don't need to be there, because they're interrupting your peace, love, and happiness, right? Okay, number three, let's get to this, because I don't want to be on here super long. I don't want to take up your time. The big one is big one, and I'm a big believer of this because it's helped me so much this past year, going through divorce and, you know, just recovering things in my head mentally. So it's engaging in acts of compassionate self-care, taking time for you, because you guys know, and I said this 100 times, is you cannot pour anything from an empty cup. So if you are allowing other people to cross your boundaries, you are allowing them to deplete your inner self, to deplete your energy, to deplete your good vibrations. And, you know, like I said, it's the law of attraction, guys. We get what we allow, you know. So if you're lowering your vibration to hang around with these people that don't respect your boundaries, that's what you're going to keep getting. You know, you're going to attract that. It's like moths to a light, you know. And if you are, you know, raising your vibration and raising your level and raising the bar for people, don't level down for people, level up for you, and, you know, require people to level up if they want to stay around you and be friends with you and stick around with you. So it's so important. And if you guys feel like you're lacking in, you know, the self-care